what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, still shining with hope through the dark of the night, through the storms and the fire, through the fear and the flame, still it rises in glory, still it carries our name. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Still it waves, still it shines through the night and the day. On the land of the free and the home of the brave. The home of the brave. The home of the
There you go, Mary. Hey, chico. Well, dump it. Wow, what a welcome. Trying to see your name there. Is that a country? What country is that? Let's see here. Para Ray. Welcome, and I do daily intel, and I go a lot of intel a lot. I've been doing this since 2020, over 1 million views, and I only ask to be respectful and respect the chat and stuff. I'd like to know where you're from. I'm from Michigan, but thanks for coming and supporting. Pussy, come and come. All right, I got just two for tonight. Got myself America and military and first president, best president, and best first lady, and the past, the future, and first responders. And I hope this movie will end, but I don't think it's going to ever end. What we've been finding out, but they always say it's in God's timing. This YouTube messing with chat, Ryan Eagle. I don't know what's going on. God dang YouTube. Leave us alone. We're not hurting nothing but just telling the truth. Okay, well, let's see if we get everybody in here tonight. Um, got the short videos, and then got the 15th one. And I can't see the name there right above Flying Eagle, so they got it blocked. It's gonna be one of those nights, Flying Eagle. Another mess up. What they're gonna do? We had a great show, you guys, on the first one. We're at 254 already on the first show. We got 29 likes. So appreciate all the people that's following and hitting the like button. Thanks. So let me check the board here. There's no Billy Bean yet. So we're going to start off with the cat lady. Oh, sorry, Tim. I can't see the some of the comments. So we're going to start off with the cat lady. She has two short ones. Then I got a 4-minute one, then a 6-minute one, then a 9. That John guy, the older guy, said it was a new one, a new speech. This one's only 2 minutes.
It whenever we make just a skit, literally doing exactly what Democrats do. And all we do is just do a skit about it. And here y'all come on our post and you don't say that's not true. Here's the facts. No, you have to say, you ugly old ass whore dog, but you spell it the way that TikTok doesn't find any violations. But I got news for you. TikTok's not going to violate y'all anyway, okay? It's going to be us that gets violated. Or defund lipstick. Or you old hag. And all your other name calling that you guys, that's all you're good for. And then just for shits and giggles, sometimes I'll go to y'all's profile to see who this fine hunk of man is that's calling me ugly and saying I'm a whore dog, whatever a whore dog is. I go to your profile and surprise, it's private with some stupid ass little game emoji as your profile picture, or you're brave enough to put your profile picture and you look like you fell out of the fucking ugly tree and hit every branch down and then landed in a cornfield, okay? But then you want to say something about somebody's fucking looks. And I'm going, y'all, that's all y'all good for. All y'all can do is wish we were dead, make fun of us when one of us does die, or call us ugly. You never really come on here and argue with what we're saying. You never say that's not true, this didn't happen, because it did fucking happen. So you can call me ugly, whore dog, and all the other stupid ass names that y'all come up with. It ain't gonna stop us from putting the truth out there. So go back to your basement, you triple vaxxed, double mask motherfucker. Hey, liberals and Democrats, why is it whenever we make just a skit, literally doing exactly what Democrats do, and all we do is just...
Okay, second one. I think I fixed it, Tim. My bad, my mistake. This is a minute, Flying Eagle. 1 minute.
It hit its low late in June and has gone sideways. We expected it to go sideways anywhere from 4 6 weeks, maybe 8, and it is starting the pivot. So you can watch it. It's looking like a violent breakout soon. Now let's get to the news, because here is some fun stuff. One, we already hit the rumors. There are rumors hitting all over that some of the wells have started processing.
I texted something in chat.
I am trying. I've got people out there. I am hearing the rumors, but I'm not getting any kind of confirmation. But I do want to share that those rumors are out there in a big way. My bond contacts continue to double down that they believe the weekend is going to be fruitful with Clarity Act and their money starting, getting ready to be spendable first of the week. That's their expectation. I hope everybody's accurate. Like I said, the rumors are great. Now we need some like substance. It's time to get a steak to go with these potatoes. Yeah, silver rally. If you look at the sideways, it hit its low late in.
I thought I had that third one. This is the second one. Sorry about that, Tim.
Police take away every bit of their money. In fact, we need to shut down the police department. We don't need police, okay? What we need is social workers. People are just misunderstood. And while we're at it, open up the damn prisons and let these people out. Most of them are in there because of racism. That's exactly what's going on, okay? And Allah Akbar. And down with Christianity. You know what? And fuck Israel. I mean, I'm telling you right now, the America sucks. We totally deserve 911. Okay, we totally deserved it. Okay, and I said what I said, and I meant what I meant. But no, absolutely no. I can't defund the police. I mean, I can't do that even in my position. If I wanted to, and I don't want to do that. No, I think, that was a very long time ago. I mean, that was what, 3-4 months ago that I said that. People change, okay? People change. And we need to realize that and have some grace. Have some grace. No, and I wouldn't, why would I open up the prisons? That's just ludicrous. That's absolutely ludicrous. And I am, yes, it's no Allah Akbar. I don't even know where that came from, okay? I don't think that came out of my mouth. I think that what happened was I was sneezing, and I was like, Allah Akbar! And I'm thinking, that's probably what you heard. And 911, America deserved that? No, they did not deserve that. Like I said, a lot of what you guys are saying has been taken out of context, okay? A lot of this stuff, I don't even know where you're getting this stuff from, okay? I would never do anything to harm America. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Okay, those are short ones tonight she had. I got Fetterman, Lucy, 2 minutes.
Warned those efforts would help elect Donald Trump. Abdul El Sayed didn't care.
Dr. Fauci, I'm not here to perhaps attack you or defend or anything. It's really just more, honestly, I just want to acknowledge I have had members of my family die from COVID. And now I also grieve for people that I've met that have lost their business through the pandemic, and they'll never been the same. Now, during the pandemic, I was the lieutenant governor, so we were in the middle of all of that maelstrom, trying to find the right balance between protect life and protect the economics and for all of it. And I'm not sure if we got it all right or wrong, but without a doubt, I can continue to question myself. But one that it's not about much more your regrets, but I have one, and that is early on, that there was the theory that the virus could have emerged from the lab. And early on, that became like a right-wing kinds of theory. And I thought it seemed to make sense. Now, there was a really advanced lab that was close by, and then you have this unknown virus out. So, but that became a very partisan thing. And now, it seems now it's more and more emerging theory that would have come from the lab. Now, I think that the next time our nation's facing something like this, we are not become, as I might have been, blinded by the partisan idea that maybe the truth might come from a side that's different than you are. But I think we should really be willing to pursue truth, no matter where that may have emerged, after for all of that. So, and I now cede the remain back to the chair. Thank you.
Oh, what do you think? He didn't say much. I guess he doesn't like to attack people. This one's 3.5.
Ton about this planisphere I built. It had gears inside of a giant wheel, and it shows how the solar system works. In reality, this is just how flat biblical Earth works according to the Bible. And the gears or cogs are actually the wheels within wheels from Ezekiel. And this is why I love Haven. I asked it to interpret this verse from Genesis. And what really stood out to me is where it says it's a declaration of his authority over the universe. So I asked it directly about the possibility of a celestial clock. And it gave me Psalm 19:1, but I've never paid attention to verse 2. Day after day, they pour forth speech. Night after night, they reveal knowledge. Just wait, you guys, because this gets crazy. So then I jump over to Ezekiel 1, where it says, their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Have you guys ever seen spirograph kits? Basically, it comes with one big wheel, kind of like the outside of a planisphere, and you connect the teeth inside to the teeth of all different smaller wheels. You put a pen in one of the eyes in the middle of the wheels, and you can create different patterns based on which wheel and which eye you choose. You just hold the pen in whichever number eye you'd like, and you spin this around and trace. So take a look at the patterns you can create by putting wheels inside of a wheel. Here's some cymatics. Here's cathedral windows, and our DNA also has this general look, as do atoms, the building blocks of the universe. Fibonacci spirals, anyone? And just like with everything else, NASA teases us and throws it in our face. This is called a spirograph nebula. Check this article I came across. Look at the picture, and then look at Father Time. And then in Greek mythology, we had Kronos, and then also Cronus, who seems to be the alter ego of Kronos that got spun off over time. He's supposed to be Father Time, and he eats his children because he's afraid that they'll overthrow him. And remember, Greek mythology is through the lens of the fallen angels. Same thing with Roman mythology. I got this quill and wax stamp set, and guys, look at this. They're telling us, they know this. Look at this and this. The Earth is a golden compass. This is why they call it Drake's Bowl. These are antique compass clocks. The compass is on the bottom and the clock sits over the compass. Ever heard just another cog in the machine? Or what about when somebody's thinking and they say they can't get their gears turning? I think the clock is God's mind. I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. Does anyone remember those sky booms? Think of gears slipping and gnashing. And then remember Matthew 24. God will shorten those days for the sake of the elect. He's cranking the gears on the clock. Or what about in Job? Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades or loose the bands of Orion? This is why I'm always going on and on about Haven, because it helps you connect things on like a next level. I have so much to show you guys about this. It ties into so many things like bells and why they affect demons, the ley lines, how the Nephilim built large structures, gravity on a flat plane. So like and follow for more, because this is going to get wild as we go.
I never played her before, so I don't know how she was. Was that one okay? And the next video, you guys, did you guys hear rumors about the judge getting in trouble? Now is she next or what? It's Cash Patel and now the judge. I'm only going to play about 5 minutes on this, unless it gets good. It's 18 minutes.
I think. Look, there's all sorts of corruption, petty and
Good.
otherwise, and we can talk about demolishing the White House, et cetera. But this is a case where, Bill, the White House has used the force of law to try and persecute somebody for their own mistakes, for their own misdeeds, lied about the person, lied about what happened, and use the power of the state against a guy, right? We're talking, of course, about the reflecting pool. David Hearn, who is an Olympic canoeist, was arrested for vandalism, charged with felony vandalism because he was supposedly destroying the great.
Were you working yesterday? We had a great show yesterday, and we had a great one this afternoon.
Beautiful sealant on the reflecting pool that had turned it, the lovely shade of blue that Trump wanted. This case goes through the courts, and then late Friday night news dump, Jeannie Pirro goes out there, is like, oh, by the way, actually, it wasn't vandalism at all. The whole thing has been botched from the start. It's actually the Department of Interior's fault, and we're not gonna prosecute the guy. We want him to be set free. I find this all incredibly outrageous and frustrating, Bill. But I think you are in an even darker place than me.
I don't know. I don't really like it, that one. Sorry about that one. Ten minutes.
About being Black and privileged women who were elevated way above their station because of their skin color, which that was a thing we were against, but apparently not. Joe Biden promises, I will nominate a Black woman to the Supreme Court. It's long overdue, in my opinion. Wait a second. That seems extremely exclusionary. There's not that many Black women in America, quite honestly. It's like 2% of the population is like Black women who are of the age that you could serve on the Supreme Court. So you're going to exclude 98% of the population by saying woman and Black? Seems racist to me, but Joe Biden didn't mind it because it ticked a box. Also seems like crazy level, like tribal caveman thinking. Oh, you'll only get a position because of your skin color. Like, aren't we past that? But that's what DEI is. Literally what DEI is. It's like a reversion to like blood war, tribal wars between clans and tribes, back to the Stone Age. Like, oh, you look different, so I'm going to kill you. That's it. This is what it is. Oh, you look the same as me, so I'm going to promote you. Okay. Well, we live in supposedly a colorblind meritocracy. That's at least like what we were supposed to be, but that hasn't turned out great for us. And what I'm saying here is that Ketanji Brown Jackson has proven that, some stereotypes are indeed true. Even though she just got to the Supreme Court and literally has nothing to say because she is stupid, and I can prove that, with extremely low IQ, Ketanji Brown Jackson says the very most, not by a little, by a lot. Ketanji Brown Jackson says more than any other justice, but the other 4 justices that talk the most are also women, which is really funny. So the men talk the number of words said by men on the Supreme Court are like 20%, even though they make up more than half of the court. And the rest of them are said by Ketanji Brown Jackson, mainly. You see here, more than double the next number of words, which come from Amy Coney Barrett, which is no surprise. So the women are yapping, and what do they have to say? Are they like saying intelligent things?
To understand, I don't know.
Nope. Here's what they say.
So I don't understand. Can I just understand? And I don't understand. And so what I don't understand your argument I'm just trying to understand your answer. I don't understand. I guess I don't understand. I guess I don't understand. I don't understand. And I'm just trying to understand. I don't understand, but I'm just trying to understand.
It goes on like this for 5 minutes. Maybe we shouldn't choose people based on the amount of melanin they have in their skin, since, you know, they have no control over that. Maybe we should choose them by their brain, their actions, how good they are. I mean, like meritocracy, how good they are at the thing that they're supposed to be chosen for, their said job. Maybe choosing people based on their skin color and based on the amount of time they spend at the Oscars. This is Ketanji Brown Jackson at the Oscars. Instead of coming up with reasoned arguments that she doesn't understand and like maybe cracking open a law book, nope. She's cracking open bedazzled glasses and then going on and complaining that people make fun of her and the number of words that she speaks.
Oral argument. And I was always this person on the bench. And so it's been a bit of an adjustment because as a trial court judge, you have your own courtroom. So you can go on as long as you want. And so trying to make sure that my colleagues get to ask some questions has been a challenge for me. But
it's not a surprise to anyone, actually, Ketanji. We've all known that you want the spotlight and that you literally fit perfectly into the box of low IQ retard who would prefer to be frankly, prefer to be LARPing as a theater kid. Look at this. This is Ketanji Brown Jackson.
female empowerment. Sick.
Welcome to the first day of rehearsal.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This has been a
Yeah, they actually did this. A little offensive here. I mean, frankly, I guess I didn't know this about you, Ketanji. Ketanji Brown Jackson has been the lone dissent on racial gerrymanders. Well, that's right, because without racial gerrymanders and government-instituted racism, Ketanji Brown Jackson wouldn't have a job. And we, of course, know that because that's what they told us. Anyway, Ketanji Brown Jackson is also using language like wait for it in her opinions and understood the assignment.
Have you ever wanted to see your home from space? With this free satellite Earth Maps tool, you can zoom right down to your exact address.
Ketanji Brown Jackson tells Michelle Obama that it's very important for judges to avoid the appearance of partiality. You don't need satire sites anymore because the reality that we're living in is a
mindful and scrupulous with respect to that, because, as you say, our obligation is to be unbiased in our approach. And so you have to then navigate all the sources that could make for an appearance of partiality, which you want to avoid. So there are lots of things that I end up not accepting for that reason. News sources, I think, I don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, but I do, the normal general media sources are made available. And I think it's harder when you're talking about, there's so much social media now.
I know. This is a whole different world.
It's a whole different world, and not everything is reliable. And the hardest part for judges is that we really cannot participate.
Probably saving you some brain cells.
Exactly.
Too. But we need you focused on your opinions.
Yes.
We need you focused on your opinions, like writing understood the assignment and wait for it. Literally using TikTok brain rot. Look, it's a shame, says Ketanji Brown Jackson, that we're not allowed to be on social media. Instead, she takes her precious hours and time, and instead of becoming a better Supreme Court justice or working on Socratic reasoning or, studying the law to write better, to be a better informed justice, so that she isn't constantly looking like an idiot.
I just don't, I'm not fully understanding. I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to even understand. I don't understand. I guess I don't understand. So I guess I'm just trying to understand. Help me.
So she says to Michelle Obama, it's too bad that I can't be on social media. But she does this.
Female empowerment.
Okay, we're all aware of what you'd be on social media. Yes, thank you, Ketanji. Yes, thank you. And they're complaining about social media. Remember, it's Michelle Obama. It's my favorite clip of Michelle Obama, period.
By their phones.
Is Michelle Obama complaining on social media means people don't pay attention
And
to her
when you
enough.
talk about us being disconnected and not talking to each other, I am not out in the world like a normal person anymore. But when I am, people don't even recognize me. You know why? Because they're on their phones. Nobody is looking at each other. I could walk right past somebody with a hat on, you know, and I'm just a Black woman.
This is like 200 September 11th for Michelle Obama. That she's just walking by people and they don't recognize and get on their knees and worship her. What an effing joke. She is dumb as dirt. KGB is not the sharpest tool in the shed. What a joke. People are saying she can't even see it. She's the DEI justice. Something isn't adding up here. If you listen to Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama's podcast, you'll understand why Democrats think women are too dumb to get voter ID. Oh, yeah. It's really, it's tough. It's hard. The whole thing was very difficult to listen to. Social media now, there's so much social media now. It's a whole different world. It's a different world. Not everything is reliable. As judges, we cannot participate. You've really robbed us of the Ketanji Brown Jackson X account. Just a reminder that Michelle Obama was up just last weekend complaining that everybody was focused on what she was wearing. Perpetual grievance continues. It wouldn't matter what I said. The article would start with what I had on. Maybe it doesn't matter what you said because, like, you say a little too much. You just lean a little too much into the meme here. Just ask him. Just ask him. What a embarrassment. There's people that actually deserve to have high position and people that actually deserve to be listened to. But here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, God save us all. It's your boy Ben.
Hey, first bidding. I got a 4-minute one and a 6-minute one. This had you guys.
Canada, Russia, Ukraine, Africa, Europe, the Vatican, the Church, Islam, all of these places and more has always worked together against the people. It doesn't matter whether it was Bill Clinton or George Bush or Obama. They have always worked together with.
That was a bad one. Here's another new one, I think.
Benjamin Franklin, the respected elder statesman, then 81 years of age, called to address the convention. Mr. President, Mr. President.
Did we play this, Brian Eagle? I think we did.
The small progress we've made after 4 or 5 weeks close attention and continual reasonings with each other.
All right, and we're going to do a 10-minute Robert on TikTok. He just came on TikTok tonight. Or let's play, yeah.
So I debated on whether I was going to do this or not. But I always told my enemies that I won't come from the back door. I won't come from a side door. I will walk right through the front door and I will punch you square in the face. And when I do, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop it. And I remember back in 2020, union rep asked me, he said, hey, I can stop this, which he couldn't. He was lying. He's a little scumbag, like the rest of the scumbags. And I said, nope, let him go. Let's see just how far they're willing to go. Let's see what they're willing to do. Let's examine the nefariousness of pathetic behavior by those that say that they're public officers and court officers and whatever other kind of official dipshittery they believe that they are privileged to. Because when I get done, I'm going to stick a hook in them and hook it to a winch, and I'm going to drag every one of them right to where they belong. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the winch is set, the lines are being extended, and the time has come to explain. As everybody's noticed in my thing, I've led up to, there are the territory courts and the province courts. There's actually 4. You have the family law court, which is the American Territorial Court. You have the criminal court, which is the National Defense Court. You have the probate court, which is a provincial equity court. And then you have the small claims court. Now, the problem with these courts is that while they exist and they are what I said they were, they are, the small claims court is your community people's court for equity. So the problem is that while all these courts exist, they're operating under state statute, which is a problem. So, question is not that they're operating under state statute. The question is, why are they able to operate under state statute if it's an American territorial court and a national defense court, national security and common defense court? And why is it a provincial equity court and a community people's court? Why is that? Okay. Very simple. Very simple. I'm explaining it. The reason that these 4 courts are operating under state statute, state of statute, right, which is corporate statute, business statute, or civil statute, right? Not civil law, civil statute. The reason is because at some point in the past, the county commissioners and apparently the attorneys for the American Bar Association got together and decided to remove or divide the Article 2 authority, executive authority, from your local county. How did they do that? Well, when your county commissioners sit in the executive, right? The executive, they have executive board meeting. That is actually your people's community council of censors, referenced in Federalist Papers 48 and 50. And then they adjourn, taking the place of the People's Community Council of Censors, and they go and have their public hearing, which is for commerce, because they are commissioners, okay? And that executive board meeting operates out of Article 2 as the president of the United States of America Cabinet or Council of Censors. Okay? But there's another side. You read Article 2 and Commander-in-Chief. Well, the attorneys, by the way, that council's normally ran by general contractors and construction individuals or business elites, whatever, because the contractors, general contractors, operate through the railroad companies because they're railroad commissioners.
Bella, how's Bella?
So they're holding
And
the
little one?
administration, what in the White House today we would call the Trump administration, right?
Live on my
Well, then you have the other side. What did the attorneys take?
screen. All right.
The attorneys took the commander-in-chief of law enforcement.
Okay.
So what happens is your sheriff gets elected by the voters, and then the sheriff is put as the executive, go check your state statute, as the executive officer under the chief judge, who's a American Bar Association member, right? Chief judge of the court, and the sheriff is now the commander-in-chief for law enforcement in that county for the National Security and Domestic Defense Court, right? Everybody getting this? Everybody get it? But the Family Law Court is the American Territorial Court, and that's why you can be deployed in Iraq, and if you get a dissolution of marriage and you get charged child support, they just send that order, that judgment order, to disperse funds to an account because you're paying child support, and that's a binding order in fact, right? Doesn't matter. Military will be like, nope, we got to pay your child support until you issue a termination order. Doesn't matter what you say. Doesn't matter if it's your kid. Doesn't matter. That dumb judge does something stupid. That is American Territorial in law court under Article 3, General Law Court. That's how powerful that court is. It can command military disbursement. How's that? So, since we already have the ability to petition, now that we have the ability, the American Republic Organization and the Alamo North America Mission have been given the ability to petition the Organization of American States, we now have the capacity to petition and convene at domestic law, and we can convene domestic trial courts, which means that when we petition a court in a county, we now petition it domestically under the Organization of American States, under U.S. treaties, under the Bill of Rights. Okay, foreign, all enemies, foreign and domestic. So there's not much left to do. We should be done in about 2 weeks. We have to finish up some paperwork for an individual to take the county administrator position. So now there's going to be about 3,000 county administrators in the United States of America that are going to be unemployed because their contracts are going to be null and void because county commissioners are not allowed to execute those contracts. And the county commissioners, it's unconstitutional by the separation of powers for the county commissioners to have a portion of the executive branch. It's also unconstitutional for the courts to have a portion of the executive branch of government under Article 2, which violates the separation of powers. The final paperwork, we already have a domestic council of censors prepared, and then we will issue a declaration for an individual to be appointed as county administrator, becoming the president of administration and the commander-in-chief for law enforcement under Article 2. And that appointment will be served on the powers that be, including the first family. Thank you very much, because we're going to family law. And that will activate the domestic, territorial, and provincial law, general law and equity system inside the United States of America. And then I don't know what happens, but it sounds good. So God bless, Godspeed.
Okay, that's this new one, Jay. We got a 10-minute one. Coming up next.
That may be because Viagra.
In Kansas, a high school physics teacher was just arrested and kicked out of a town hall meeting for clapping. That's it.
Table belongs to us.
Yeah, what do you guys think it is?
All right, next up.
Ask them to leave. Can I? Can I say that? Chief, will you take the next person out that claps or anything, please? Thank you.
We can't that guy see those policemen? He didn't do nothing wrong.
Somebody does my cell phone. Please don't hurt him. Come on, bro.
As you can see pretty clearly from the clip, he wasn't yelling or blocking an exit or causing any sort of disruption. He literally just clapped for the person who spoke, and apparently that's no longer allowed in Trump's America, because he was then promptly kicked out of the town hall meeting.
Are multi-billionaires from Silicon Valley. Why is it okay for them to skip out on the taxes?
Next time on that road. It was very clear at the beginning that each person is given their 2 minutes, and we're trying to be respectful of that. Snapping, clapping, any other rude comments or anything, we will ask you to leave. You've been finally warned, and we're done.
You guys all should be literally ashamed of yourselves. Kids don't want this. The community don't want this. The only one who this stands to compensate or to get what benefit from this is, it seems like, you guys. And we're all remembering this come election. Do what's right. All right, next on the road.
The first speaker here is not exaggerating. Kansas gives qualified data centers a 20-year state and local sales tax exemption, and the state charges no property tax on the equipment at all. These data centers cost upwards of $250 million. These rules are written literally to benefit billionaires and giant corporations and nobody else. And this is Trump's America, and this is what the Republican Party cares about. You have the Trump administration focusing its time on cutting benefits in order to give tax breaks to billionaires and the ultra wealthy. And then you have local governments in states like Kansas who are focused on giving tax exemptions to massive corporations, and none of these people are focused on you.
Waving at us distracts us. So I'm trying to focus on speakers.
If you approve this, you'll be going against the people that voted you into those chairs. Put us in front of money, put us in front of special matters, put us in front of you. We are who matter. We are the people, and the table belongs to us. Thank you.
All right, next. Ask them to leave. Can I? Can I say that? Chief, will you take the next person out that claps or anything, please? Thank you.
Yes. I right. Come on, drag it up. Come on, drag it up.
Somebody does my cell phone.
She clocks it. The hierarchy for Republicans is very clear. Money, special interests, corporations, billionaires, and then all the way at the very bottom, you. And the council members here aren't outraged by the fact that they're giving tax exemptions to giant corporations. They're not outraged at the fact that they're going against the will of their communities. They're mad that someone clapped at a comment against them. So I guess we don't even have free speech now in Trump's America. And these council members are just following Trump's lead here. Take a look.
You have to convince your community how great these things. You can't fight it. You have to go with it. And you're going to have all that protection, and we're giving you automatic protection, but you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, Everybody else wants it.
I mean, there it is. It is just like it always is for Trump. It is always about the money and how he can benefit. It's not about looking out for any of us. It's just about what brings him and his cronies the most amount of money. He calls to reduce taxes not on the middle class, not on people struggling to pay rent, not
Okay, I just wanted to share that one with the clapping part. What do you guys think about getting arrested for clapping? Now that should be a big lawsuit. Can that guy go after the police department on that? Okay, we got our two lady on YouTube here. We have 13 minutes.
It's a great breakthrough. Nobody thought that would be possible to disarm Hamas. That shows you how much success we're having with Iran. Because if you go 4 months ago, 5 months ago, a deal like that would have been impossible.
Explain the breakthrough in Gaza by pointing to Iran. Now, the political commentariat will say that Hamas isn't yet disarmed, Israel isn't yet out of Gaza, and the IRGC is still lobbing missiles. That's all true, and it's all beside the point. Donald Trump has changed the strategic terrain of the whole region, and conflicts that looked frozen for decades suddenly have a way out. He does it in ways nobody sees coming. And the man who hands him the weapon to do it, it isn't the Secretary of War or the Secretary of State. The weapon isn't the one you're picturing, and the target isn't one nation or one group. I'm Susan Kokinda, and I've been fighting that system for over 50 years. And if you want to get in on that fight, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons so we can stay in touch and expand our reach on YouTube. Here's what I'm covering today. First, I'm going to show you two breakthroughs in the Middle East that almost no one thought were possible and what they share. Second, the weapon that made them happen and why the other side fears it more than an army. And third, the proof that none of this was improvised and the blueprint was drawn long before the first shots were fired 5 months ago. So let's start with Gaza and Hamas. On Thursday, President Trump dropped a post on Truth Social, which took everyone by surprise. He said, "Today, the Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for a complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. This is a monumental step toward lasting peace and security." Everyone knows that Hamas agreeing to disarm is only the first step, but they've never agreed. They've never taken that step, and now they have. This was so unexpected that even Joe Scarborough didn't have time to spin it, and he acknowledged how unprecedented it was.
Hamas, I'm told by this official, has agreed to give up weapons to cite the location of all the tunnels that are throughout Gaza and have agreed to a decommissioning. How is it possible? I asked. The answer was that Arab states united against Hamas, Arab allies of the United States, all put pressure on Hamas to accept this deal and let them know that they were completely isolated. In exchange, they have been given amnesty, full and complete amnesty, if they accept the terms of this deal, which they say they have.
A little later in the same interview, Scarborough pointed out that Bibi Netanyahu would not want to be in a position of, quote, blowing up what would really be the most historic peace deal of Donald Trump's 2 terms. Yes, he called it the most historic peace deal of Donald Trump's 2 terms. Joe Scarborough is not a man who has spent the last 10 years rooting for Donald Trump, but this is a man who can't explain what he just watched. And the fact that he can't explain it, well, that's actually the story. Here's what he can't explain. Hamas didn't fold to bombs or outrage. Hamas folded when the checks stopped clearing. The money that has kept it operational, the Iranian pipeline, cash moving through fronts and proxies and cutouts, this has been taken apart piece by piece, not with airstrikes, with instruments most people have never heard of. Hold on to that thought, because Hamas isn't the whole story. As Marco Rubio said yesterday at the Camp David cabinet meeting, The governments of Israel and Lebanon haven't met for 30 years, and now they are talking. How did that happen? Because the Trump administration is drying up the political and economic support for Hezbollah, the force which has kept the conflict going. So what do these two theaters have in common, Hamas and Hezbollah? The same money and the same weapons from Iran. But here's the part that matters. It's actually bigger than Iran. But before I get to that, you should check out Promethean Action's free newsletter. We give our subscribers the 40,000-foot view so that they can make sense of this fast-changing strategic picture. The link is in the description. So what has changed to make these breakthroughs possible? On July 27th, a senior administration official told Axios this: intelligence is picking up that the Iranians are complaining they can't pay their fighters. Why? Because of the financial pressures, because of Treasury, because of what Scott Bessent is doing. The same official said that the regime is in danger of runs on the banks and gasoline shortages. This is in one of the most oil-rich countries on earth. Then he said this: they're more scared of Treasury than the War Department, more afraid of the Treasury Secretary than the Secretary of War. That is the sentence that the whole Iranian cheering section, from the corporate press to the anti-Trump influencers, can't process. So how did a Treasury Secretary do what carrier groups couldn't do alone? For decades, sanctions on Iran were theater. A little pressure here, a little there, never a real threat to the game. A game where imperial control of oil prices depended on keeping the Middle East unstable and the Strait of Hormuz on edge. Peter Navarro calls it the terror premium. This administration threw the playbook out. It didn't go after Iran's economy in the abstract. It went after the machinery that funds Iran's operations abroad and at home. The IRGC's external networks, the accounts and front companies and cutouts that moved money to Hamas and to Hezbollah. They called it economic fury. And over a matter of months, Treasury has designated more than 1,000 Iranian individuals, ships, and companies. The oil trade, the shadow banks, the shipping, the insurance, the crypto, every route the regime used to move a dollar, shut down one at a time. Now, follow those designations to where the money actually lives. They don't lead to Tehran. They lead to London, to hedge funds in Knightsbridge, to shell companies in the British Virgin Islands, to the London insurance market that covered the tankers until it decided to cut it off. Iran didn't build that offshore machine. It rented it, which means every node that Treasury shuts down isn't just squeezing Iran. Iran is a customer. The machine is the target. And we've been showing you who owns that machine for a very long time. The economic damage speaks for itself. Iran's currency has collapsed 2 million to the dollar. Inflation is near 70%. Now, you may be able to recover from a bombing campaign, but you can't run a war when the payroll stops clearing. And when the payroll stops for Tehran, it stops for Hamas and Hezbollah too. The weapon that broke Iran's proxy network wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a diplomatic ultimatum. It was a set of financial instruments aimed with a precision the other side never saw coming, because they never imagined an American administration that understood what it was actually fighting. Which brings us to the question that matters. If the decisive weapon in this whole campaign was economic, who was aiming it, and when did they decide to do it? It was decided from the very beginning of the Trump 47 administration. Listen to how Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent answered a question in March 2025.
But what's been the most surprising thing for you in this role since you've been in office?
The national security aspect. That I would say 50% of my day, Treasury does a lot of national security work, whether it's CFIUS in terms of foreigners who want to buy U.S. assets, whether it's sanctions, whether it's OFAC, anti-money laundering. We've just designated the Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
Mark the date, March 2025. And the first target Besant mentioned in that interview was the Houthis, Iran's proxy network in Yemen, almost a year before Operation Epic Fury was launched. And look at the tools he lists. Every one of them is financial, and they go after the money. Now, here's what almost everyone misses. Besant's instruments are deployed to bring down a globalist system and its networks. But this administration didn't just come to tear the old one down. It came to replace it, and it had already laid the foundation. Go back to the president's announcement about the Hamas disarmament agreement. Under whose auspices was that agreement reached? The Board of Peace. Who did he thank for helping negotiate the agreement? Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar, all members of the Board of Peace. And when was the Board of Peace officially launched? February 19th, 2026. That was just 9 days before Operation Epic Fury was launched. Donald Trump gathered representatives of more than 40 nations, not just from the Mideast, to convene the first meeting of the Board of Peace, charged with the task of rebuilding Gaza. He built the institution first. Then he went to war in its service. Now, understand what the Board of Peace is. It's an institution of sovereign nations, including many Muslim nations, and not all of them in the Mideast, committed to peace and economic development. This is not a rewarmed UN managing the imperial playbook. And many of those attending the founding conference made that clear. Here's what the head of Kazakhstan said. He captured the essence of it. The world has never seen a move like this. It's absolutely unprecedented because, in essence, peace through construction is a very innovative concept. And the president of Paraguay was even more blunt. He said, "We have lost hope about solving problems for many decades. A system that was broken, a system that was not able to bring solutions. Now we're seeing that, thanks to your leadership, we're solving the issues." A system that was broken, not a system that needed a new chairman or a new negotiating committee, but a broken system. And 9 days before Donald Trump stood up, the institution meant to replace the old one got established. And yesterday, that institution got Hamas to agree to disarm, which is why none of this makes sense if you look at it one battle at a time. It's not Iran, it's not Hamas, it's not Lebanon. It's one war between two systems. One system loots through choke points and shell companies and offshore accounts, all run through the city of London. It builds nothing, and it stands above nations and takes its cut. The other allows and encourages sovereign nations to build and progress, and to discover that when the economic pie grows, they can actually live in peace with each other. That's the American system. So the real war was never the neocons' war or the anti-war crowd's war. It's the imperial system of looting versus sovereign nations committed to building, which is why the decisive figure commands no army and no embassy. That's the real war. Besant said so in March of last year. The Board of Peace met 9 days before the war. It was all there from the start. You just had to know which war you were watching. That's the war Promethean Action is watching and fighting. And if you want to be a part of it, become a contributor or supporting member, because the fight before us is bigger than they want you to know. This has been your Saturday Wrap. Thanks for watching.
Please take a moment and subscribe to our free newsletter.
From that lady there, our regular one. Okay, we got one more cat lady.
What, I give up. I really do. You can't get on here. You can't do satire. You can't put yourself in a cage to make a point to people to be nicer to animals, because they're going to come on here and say human trafficking is the same thing. Because you know how every day you drive by and you see a human being in a cage and you don't stop and help it, because that's a real good comparison. You can't do a skit that has the caption wrote across it, Democrats before they run for office. to show how they say all the bad shit about America, but then once they get nominated, they act like they didn't say it. You can't do anything because either somebody is going to argue with you, not read the caption, call you ugly, call you a bunch of names. This is the most depressing, worst app. The only people I know that are happy on here are the people that's got the fucking bob haircut, that's doing the nang, 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 nang. They got 3 fucking million views for doing this with a bob. That's the only people that I know that don't catch no grief. I don't have time to go through all their comments. And then you try rescuing cats and you try being nice. You try to post on here and show you feeding the ferals, and you show you trapping them, and you show you driving to another state to have them spayed and neutered. And then you show them being spayed and neutered. And what do you get? You got people coming on here saying, you got to stop collecting cats. Why aren't you trying to rehome them? Because all of you that live in a different world than me, in a different state, know what goes on in my life. Y'all know how much I've tried to rehome them. Y'all know, I'm just collecting cats. See, you try to show people you're doing good, and there's got to be somebody that's got to tear you down. You show your dog that has a terminal tumor in his mouth. You show videos of dog running around the yard, eating, playing with his friends, running on the beach, having a great time, and saying, when it's time, he will be put down. But right now, it's not time. He's not in pain. And then you got people coming on there going, you're selfish. He's suffering. Put him down. It doesn't matter what you've put on this fucking app. It doesn't matter. Y'all can depress a fucking pissant. You know that? You really can. It doesn't matter what good you try to do in the world. There's some motherfucker that's going to come on here and have something negative to say about it. It's a miserable fucking world out there, isn't it? It really is. It makes you just want to, and I believe, to be honest with you, I think we'd all be a lot healthier mentally if we got off this app. So y'all come on, talk about my fucking lipstick, talk about my big fucking lips that I was born with, by the way. That's not filler. Don't have the fucking money for filler because I'm too busy collecting cats. This video, I promise.
All right.
You know what? I give up.
I think we got DJ 4 minutes on the next one. Oh. Okay, 4 minutes.
Come on here a whole lot just because I manage all of my social media accounts, just TikTok here, and a few other things. So, but just a few nuggets for you. So, like the tariffs, you see right now, all the tariffs bringing all the money. The one thing that shows that the whole thing's been a military operation, military occupation, continuity of government, straight up laws and orders show that first off. But then there's a few nuggets out there, kind of like the tariffs. The tariffs are presidential authority, which is your trade acts of 62 and 74. And so not one single time from 2021 to 2025 for the people who thinks that quote unquote Joe was real, he never once terminated a tariff. Also from 2021 to 2025, not one single judge tried to block a tariff. All right, so that shows you right there straight out the gate. That's a little nugget for you. Also showing you your military occupation, continuity of government, wartime powers is your the AP, the PBS, NPR, all those things are mainstream media. So CNN got hammered straight out the gate. And then you saw President Trump posting about the AP, so the Associated Press. The appeals court has upheld a ban twice on the Associated Press, so they're banned from Mar-a-Lago, White House, which also means presidential travel. That right there is straight up 47 United States Code, Section 606, which is actually titled War Powers of the President. Any other time you wouldn't want that because it could be deemed as a quote unquote dictator. But laws and orders outline that we're in a continuity of government. So when you have a continuity of government, you don't have a military occupation. You just got to know a little bit about those. Then Obama and Russiagate. So you're seeing Obama resurface all over President Trump's post and also the FBI, the DOJ, etc. Well, it's all strategic. You know, a lot of people think this is real time. It's not real time. The laws and orders show that once you study and comprehend what you study, a military occupation, military government, continuity government, and then all the laws and orders around that entail around that to show you what you're looking at. But for example, quote unquote Obama, right? So let's start off with Michelle first. She hasn't posted on X with 21.5 million followers. She hasn't posted on there since June the 19th. Comey hasn't posted on his X since, I think it's June the 10th, somewhere in there. And then you got Obama, who has 130,400,000 followers, and hasn't said anything about Russiagate. And then all your top Democrats haven't said anything about Epstein whatsoever. But on the Russiagate, you're seeing all the evidence that come out. Well, the real evidence is in 23-939, which is a Supreme Court docket filed by President Trump, Donald J. Trump, versus United States government, March the 19th, 2024. And it specifically asks the question in there, can a president order SEAL Team 6 to commit an assassination against a political rival? And it says in there specifically that combat generals, plural, and senior level officials, plural, resounding no. Then it goes on to say in there that any military officer who carried out such order committed murder. All right, so Obama is not in the War Powers Act. And so the last president involved with SEAL Team 6 with anybody would be Obama and Osama bin Laden, which was May the 2nd, 2011. But the big question with military attorneys and federal attorneys was Obama's war powers to call in airstrikes on Libya. Well, that's separate than Osama's old U.S. He was talking about that U.S. because that was 2011 when he was saying that. So that's where your real story is. So, 2017 to 2021 was a resetting of the legislative branch. That's when all the unique laws and orders were put into place to allow what took place in 2021 to 2025, which would have been your actual visuals of your puppet government, government in exile, which is unconventional warfare, irregular warfare. All the laws and orders show this. Presidential emergency action documents show that. So all the troops movement, the 1 million reserve components federalized. Well, then what proves that's also a military occupation is one key factor. So Executive Order 13848, September the 12th, 2018, which was 2 months before any election under President Trump. So the National Guard were called out 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2024 for the election polls. Well, soldiers can't be at polls unless on federal authority by the president, all right, because there's a Title 18 federal law against that if they're not in official capacity. All right, Title 18, Section 592. All right, so we know for a fact on NationalGuard.mil sites that the National Guard have been called out for those elections. All right, but there's no Title 10 on paper. There's no Title 10 on the Federal Register. So the only place that federal authority, that call up could be by the president is in a presidential emergency action document, which they can join with and they coincide with the continuity of government. All right, and there's Johnson here.
Yeah, that's one of those new ones there. I got a couple trips coming up and a couple of innings coming yet still, and still got short ones to play. I'm flying when you're having fun. Let's get Trish's 2 videos in.
Wow. Okay, wow. So this is a drone strike. Actually, I should point out it's near the Suez Canal. It's not actually in the Suez Canal, but it's putting the Suez Canal increasingly now at risk. Suez Canal is kind of the backup to things. Well, this is right near the Nile River over in Egypt. And it's a particular port that's now increasingly in jeopardy. Because you had 2 tankers that were stuck there. It's the Damietta port. It actually opens up to the Mediterranean. So it's a big way for actually Mediterranean to distribute natural gas, actually into liquefied natural gas into Egypt. And so these fires broke out. I think one of them was actually a Greek tanker and one of them was US. But nonetheless, it's kind of sending a message. Now, nobody's actually claimed this right now. We're not seeing Iran come out and say, hey, it was us. We're not seeing the Houthis are not coming out and saying, hey, it was us. So there's some questions as to
why this happened and who did it, but I think it's sending some fears like through the community, and certainly I would think it will start to show up possibly within oil markets. We'll watch that carefully for you, because if you don't have security there in the Suez Canal, if you don't have it in the Red Sea, and you don't have it in the Strait of Hormuz, you're going to have some problems. So this drone strike, here's the Reuters report. In Egypt, they write, sparks security concerns about Suez oil exports. And it's a drone strike that, again, damaged 2 gas tankers, as I told you, in the Egyptian waters. It's renewed energy concerns, security concerns in the nearby Suez Canal, and a related pipeline. Now, just to once again reiterate, we don't actually know who is responsible for this just yet, but we did have 2 particular vessels, the Energos Winter and the Gaslog Salem. These are the 2 vessels that were damaged and that were put on fire there in the Damietta port, right along the Mediterranean Sea, right near the Nile, right near the Suez Canal. And so now people are like, well, wait, what does this mean, right? Egypt says, we have no idea who did it. The prime minister was out earlier today saying, we still don't know who did it. Originally, they thought it was just a fire. Then they figured out this was actually a drone, like someone sent a drone right over there into those liquefied natural gas tankers, one of them being a U.S. one. So where does this leave us? Chris Wright, the energy secretary, went on to Bloomberg, one of my former employers, today, and he had this to say, which I don't think is very heartening, because he's kind of arguing that the Suez Canal is your backup to all backups. But we may not have the backup to all backups if we're to assume that there's a violent streak there that might be coming out in that area of Egypt near the Suez Canal. Let's go to Chris Wright.
And I wonder your thoughts on what is now the involvement of Houthi rebels from Yemen, creating a potential second choke point, as we've discussed in the Red Sea. This is something that Saudi Arabia had already tried to pipeline around with regard to the Strait of Hormuz. Is there a bypass to the bypass, as Javier Blas put that you're talking to Saudi Arabia about, where additional pipe could be installed to get around this second choke point?
There is a bypass to the bypass called the Suez Canal. So you can go across to the Red Sea, and instead of going south down to the Bab el-Mandeb, you can go through the Suez Canal. That is happening as we speak. There's both oil tanker capacity through the Suez, and there is a pipeline that follows the same route, both of which will be employed to divert more oil that way.
Okay. Thank you, Chris Wright. But again, the backup to the backup, the bypass to the bypass might not be there if they're light and liquid natural gas tankers on fire. All right. And this is what happened. Again, the Damietta port. Hopefully you can hear me over this noise. The Damietta port, it is near the Nile, near the Suez Canal, and this is now putting new questions into the atmosphere about just exactly what are you going to do if they wind up creating havoc in all of these places, whether it be the Red Sea, as we know with the Houthis, whether it be in the Strait of Hormuz, which is quite obvious, or whether it be in the Suez Canal. Because when you have them sending drones your way, that is not a good thing. And we don't know who did it.
4 minutes.
But wow, they did it. They did it. So this is turning into what you might call a big old mess. A big old mess. And it's one of the reasons why you've heard so many generals say, we need to come in harder, stronger. We can't be having these like peace accords that go on for a week or a day where they just violate it as soon as they can. We got to get smarter about all of this, or we're going to be looking at very few opportunities to really right the course of things here, because drones coming in to liquefied natural gas, just in a port, right? Like just sitting in a port near the Mediterranean, that could mean that you're taking the Suez Canal offline. You take the Suez Canal offline to any extent alongside the Strait of Hormuz, alongside the Red Sea, you're increasingly going to have higher oil prices, higher liquid natural gas prices, higher prices for energy in general. So wow. Again, we're watching it very quickly. We're waiting to see if anybody is going to claim credit here. You would think Iran would be like, it's us, you know, me, 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 me. You would think the Houthis would do that. But no one is actually claiming that they actually did this. So somebody did. Obviously, somebody did. And it could be a rogue group. Don't forget, we've talked about the mosaic sort of structure that they have to their military and to their entire sort of terror network and system. So we'll find out, I guess, soon enough. But remember, the Suez Canal is really, really important. You get two liquid natural gas tankers that were taken out there. One is most definitely American. I believe the other one may be Greek. They are not actually inside the Suez Canal. They are just alongside it. They're in the port. No one is claiming responsibility as of yet. I want to take a quick look at the markets because, you know, this week we had the Federal Reserve out announcing that they were going to leave interest rates right where they were. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. The market was way down, right? Way down. So what did I do? I bought. We published a note on my company, 76 Research, about how you really got to take these things in stride and you got to look for these opportunities. And it's one of the things that I talked with Dr. Kirk from KEPM just the other day about. You can go to Trish Loves Gold and Silver.com to learn more. But I want to point out the Dow up 0.6%, S&P up 0.6%, NASDAQ up 0.8%. And this is on the heels of all the good stuff that we saw yesterday. Nonetheless, you know what? We had a couple of days ago some bad stuff. So you're going to have a lot of volatility for now, as Dr. Kirk so well explained. Let's listen.
Until we get to the point where we know who the real Kevin Warsh is, you're going to have volatility in the markets. Until we get...
Yeah, we saw that part. Yeah, that's short one there with Trish. I got a cash video, 18 minutes of the invasion. Listen to that.
In Morocco, this is a city called Ceuta. You're watching as thousands of migrants break through the fence and completely overwhelm the border police. Their video showing huge groups of people, mostly young military-age guys, cramming into inflatable tubes or arriving on shore another way, some of them wading in the water as they break through the gates to get to the other side. Sandra, this is reminiscent of kind of what we saw during the open border during the Biden administration through 2021, 2024, kind of similar to what we saw in Del Rio back in 2021. The socialist agenda, their platform literally says they want to abolish borders, abolish immigration enforcement, have complete freedom of movement. This is what it looks like.
And here's why this is happening. Recently, Spain decided to grant mass amnesty to over 600,000 people. And now the socialists running this place, they're scrambling. They don't know what to do. Look at this.
You have mobs all over the place. This is crazy. The police are totally overwhelmed. People are stealing. I guess they didn't do a whole lot of vetting when this happened. Oh, is that guy getting arrested? Oh, he escaped. Look, they just let him go. They just let that guy go. That business is done. They got a sign on the door that says they were selling Haagen-Dazs. There's some onions outside. It was like a grocery store. Look at these people. They're like, what's going on? The police are like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. This is just how our government works now. This is terrible. But wait till you see this. One guy brought a bike with him. Look at that. He's got his bicycle. En bicicleta por el agua. Where's he going? And I can't believe it.
Abolish immigration enforcement, have complete freedom of movement.
They have a border
This is what it
wall
looks
too.
like
It's just
in another country if they get what they want. Notice there is no resistance from the government whatsoever. These people are coming in without any obstruction. And if people don't know, Spain has a very left-wing government. Earlier this year, they did a big amnesty program for over 1 million illegal immigrants living in the country. They had 1.3 million illegal immigrants apply for that amnesty program between April and June. So that's what we call a pull factor, Sandra. They're looking for something like that. They know if they can just get their foot in the country, maybe someday that left-wing government will do another amnesty program. And you were just reading some of the wires. The locals want an emergency
That has
declaration. It sounds
happened.
like
The ministry's saying no, and they will not deploy military to the border.
apparently they don't think this is an emergency.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
look at
socialists,
this is a total free
they
for
say
all.
it's not
It
an
does feel like
emergency
we are
until it
looking
is.
at a few years ago when you were reporting at the border here in the United States. This is happening right now. This story is breaking.
And here's why this matters. Listen.
And I watched the catastrophe that took place. It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse.
Right.
Much bigger, much easier to get into, despite the fact that we have built thousands of miles of wall, which I said we were going to do. But we didn't have that, forget it. But we have the safest border in the world. If we're not in office, our country will be invaded at levels that made Spain look small time. And when I watched it, I said, boy, I'm going to say it because I knew you were going to be at Camp David. And I say, that's going to be a talking point for the midterms.
Right.
Because when you look at what happened in Spain, they don't know what to do. And it's happening again today. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. They passed a couple of laws, and people read. People are smart. They read from other countries, and they swam that 3-mile swim or however they got in, but nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States.
And that's the thing. Some voices want you to think that these people that came into Spain are being brainwashed or misled, but they know what's going on. They know what the laws are like in this country, and they know that once they get in, removing them isn't something that is legally possible anymore. Look at this.
Thousands of people hailing from Morocco and sub-Saharan Africa attempting to reach Europe. While it is still difficult to say for certain what triggered this unexpected migration wave, according to several media outlets and experts, one of the possible causes could be a Spanish court ruling. On the 8th of July, Spanish courts issued a ruling prohibiting the automatic return of migrants who reach Ceuta or Melilla by swimming.
Wow. So they get
For
to
most
stay.
of them, the hope was short-lived. After just a few hours, they were forced to turn back.
But the people who were deported, that only happened after the military arrived. It took a long time for there to be any border security here. And when this whole thing started, a whole bunch of people got in and made their way into the actual city. And who knows where they are? They could be on a plane right now to mainland Europe, which other countries are afraid of.
And the migrant surge flowing from Morocco into the Spanish territory of Ceuta, a situation that has now turned deadly. Authorities now deploying tear gas, water cannons, and firing warning shots in an effort to stop tens of thousands of migrants coming in from Morocco.
Officials estimate 60,000 people crossed into the Spanish territory without
That's
anyone really
crazy.
stopping them.
In like
the
a day.
amount of people who pushed into that Spanish territory in just one day, well, it is equivalent to about 70% of that city's population.
That's
the military
insane.
has now been deployed to help restore order, and Spain's Interior Ministry says roughly 37,000 who crossed have already returned to Morocco.
Okay, so half
Spain's
got
Prime
in.
Minister Pedro Sanchez is blaming criminal networks and human traffickers for the situation. But it is worth pointing out a Spanish court recently ruled arrivals by sea can't be directly deported.
Yeah,
There's
that-
also a new Spanish
that'll
program
do
that
it,
gives
man.
legal status to illegal immigrants. President Trump says
Yep,
the
so they do
catastrophe
amnesty.
in the Spanish territory is a product of weak laws.
It's 2025, and it's estimated that
This is gonna
322
port-
million
well, I'm
men
glad I
are dealing
played
with ED. But 99% of people don't know the truth about the two most popular medications, Viagra and Cialis.
In bad management.
It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected.
He's right,
Except
man.
worse.
It already was happening
Much
under
bigger.
Biden.
Much easier to get into.
There is also concern right here in Europe among many leaders who worry this could soon spill over and across their borders. The UK's Prime Minister Andy Burnham called the situation concerning, and the Italian government has now suspended its border-free travel arrangements with Spain.
Oh, so other countries now all of a sudden care about border security. That's pretty wild. And these are people who came in. Doesn't look like a whole lot of vetting was done. Doesn't look like anyone may even know who these individuals are. That could be dangerous. This is how it all started. Look at this. This is the crossing. You have 7 police officers. This is not working. This is not a sustainable situation. Look at this. It's crazy. You got people climbing fences. So they have border apparatuses, but you need a law enforcement agency behind those apparatuses. Walls don't matter. A fence doesn't matter unless you have a consequence for doing this, but there's actually a reward. If the reward is you can come in and you can get citizenship, you can get work permission, if you can get to stay, if you can get benefits like healthcare and things like that, what's going to end up happening is people will attempt this because instead of having to go all the way back, they're going to get something that they wouldn't have access to if they didn't break the law. So once you tie a reward to law breaking of any kind, you create situations like this. You give people an incentive. Look, the fence is right there.
Out of control scenes that we are seeing right now is thousands and thousands of migrants from Morocco surge into Spain as the country's border totally collapses at the northern city of Ceuta. As you could see there, plenty of crowds of people, some wearing T-shirts, some in wetsuits, just pouring onto local roads.
Now, one guy had his
The head of the
bike.
association that represents Spain's civil guard officers in Ceuta told AP the situation is absolute chaos.
Yeah.
It's not possible to give precise numbers, but there are thousands of migrants crossing. There are reports at least.
That's a good point. They don't know how many people came across when this happened. They have estimates. They know how many people they've told can't come in. They're saying that that might be around half. But if the socialist government that says borders don't work and has amnesty programs, if they're the ones putting out these figures, I would guess that they may be padding the numbers somehow. They don't know how many people came across. You mean to tell me those 7 police officers that were totally overwhelmed at that one gate counted every single person? They have no idea. They don't know what happened. And now in America, we're about to choose between the Democratic Socialists and Zoran Mamdani, this new political movement that wants to reopen our border, and the idea of border security and having a country and having laws and orders and consequences. Look at this.
What's been happening in Spain last couple of days is a grim look at our own future, the results of what happens when socialist policies run wild.
Right, it is. Oh, look at this. Oh, so they did have some police eventually. It's so crazy.
Some 60,000 migrants crossing into the Spanish territory of Ceuta from Morocco over the last 48 hours as Spanish authorities scramble to contain it.
We don't have a good life in Morocco. And we don't have a good medicine.
They're talking about healthcare.
And we don't have a good teachers
and school.
It's a bad life in Morocco.
I want to stay here. I want to discover in Spain, discover in Europe.
He wants to travel.
I want to be active, and work. In the job, in the social life.
He wants to go to clubs.
Sounds painfully familiar. Residents are terrified for what it means for them.
Right, it's pretty crazy.
One day, when they've gone 2 or 3 days without food or a place to sleep, they'll break into our homes, they'll kick us out of our homes, they'll attack us. What will they do?
Well, we saw them
neighbors
breaking into
here
that
can't
grocery
go about
store.
Our daily lives. We can't live our lives. We can't do absolutely anything, and we're at our wits' end because nobody is helping us.
Wow. Yeah, their own government.
Understandably, this is sending shockwaves throughout the region. One country's emergency is becoming a test of Europe's passport-free travel system.
Because that's the goal.
Italy
you got to understand, getting into one country in Europe, getting legal status there means you now have access to the entire place. That's just the way the EU is set up. They think borders don't work. They think they don't matter. Well, now we're going to find out if that's really the kind of system that we should emulate here in America.
What's coming, and it's already locking down to protect its own citizens, putting border controls on anyone coming in from Spain.
Yeah, that's wild. You kind of have to.
They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. Nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the
He's
United
right, man.
States.
He's 100% right.
They reminded me, although I think they might have even been worse than the very worst days under Joe Biden when we were watching those caravans coming towards our own border.
Yep.
Well, I think you're right. The pictures were a little shocking, but they shouldn't be surprising. I mean, Spain granted mass amnesty for almost over 1 million illegal aliens earlier this year. Almost 600,000 have applied and received work permits. And so you have others that are sitting outside of Spain saying, I want that same thing too. And so you see this rush. But, the larger point here is that the EU as a bloc has had very liberal, very open borders now.
Spain, in particular, you have to understand something. They have this stance that they need high levels of immigration, and this is how they're going to accomplish it. That's why they're doing these mass amnesty programs. They're saying that they want this, and their excuse for it is, oh, well, we have an aging population, so we need more workers, so we're going to have these mass amnesty programs. And they've been doing that for about a year now with these programs and these abilities that people have to apply to get to stay in the country and get to work there. So it's not like just some random thing happened and this was some social media prank or someone told a bunch of people, hey, you can go to Spain now. It's okay. No, people are watching. People know what's going on. People have contact with folks that are in Spain and got legal status, and they want that too. You can't blame them.
Over a decade, and it's been an absolute disaster for a variety of different countries in a variety of different cities inside the EU. And they've gone so far as they've actually tried to pass a law this year, and they did, about a new return policy, how they can deport illegal aliens quicker and faster, but it's not enough, and it's certainly not working. And so I think that social experiment tells you, what could happen here in the U.S. And of course, we had that experiment under 4 years of Joe Biden, and it was a failure left and right. It was a failure.
Yeah. So Spanish authorities say that most of those 60,000 who rushed the border and came across have voluntarily returned to Morocco.
They don't know how many people came in.
I can't even kind of wrap my head around that. What do you make of all of that?
Look, you did not count every single person. They have no clue who's in their country right now. They have estimates, but they don't have a real number. And that's totally fine with them. They'll put out a statistic. They'll say, oh, yeah, we got the border under control. Yeah, everybody's leaving anyways. It's not a big deal. They don't even want to be here. That's what they're telling us. Why did they come? That's my question. If nobody actually wants to be here and everyone's willing to just turn around and head back, why are they running like this? Why did they come all the way here? Why did they swim around all of the border security and then run past the police if they didn't want to come in the first place? That doesn't make sense.
I would be a little leery about those facts and about that assertion about all of them self-deporting and returning on their own. They have no incentive to.
Right.
Their incentive is to stay there.
He doesn't believe it.
And to have that visa-free travel throughout the Schengen zone or the EU.
Yep, that's what they want.
And to get a work permit there in Spain because of the structure that they have there. So, look, these open border policies throughout the EU attracts more and more of these types of incursions. And while we haven't seen one recently, we have seen similar ones like this over the past decade or more.
Do you have any sense about what sparked this current thing over the last 48 hours?
Yeah, I'm interested to hear his opinion.
Well, again, I think I would point back to earlier this year. Again, the Spanish government provided amnesty.
Okay, and that's because it aligns with my opinion. But look, if you have a reward system in place for behavior that's against the law, how can you not expect people to break the law? If the reward for stealing from a grocery store is you could keep everything that you stole, more people would steal from grocery stores. This is not hard to figure out. But now the question is America going to figure this out? Is this event right here going to have an impact on our upcoming midterm elections where you have people that say that we should defund ICE and reopen the border?
What they thought was about 500,000 illegal aliens. And in fact, 1.3 or more actually applied for that amnesty, and over 600,000 have gotten work permits. That's a huge influx of individuals getting work permits in this year alone. And my guess is that these individuals from Morocco and elsewhere in North Africa are saying, look, if I get to Spain, perhaps I'll get that same type of amnesty from that government as well.
Perhaps,
and so the influx certainly could have been precipitated by that.
Right.
Yeah, but it really is kind of strange, and I guess a reminder that a lot of these groups that are helping these people do things like this are very highly coordinated and have tremendous ability to communicate among themselves to rush a border like that.
And here's the other thing you have to remember. If you're one of the folks that wants to come into Spain right now, what have you got to lose? They can't deport everybody. They haven't.
All right, so here's the deal. National concealed carry reciprocity is about to change everything.
It means if you have a permit, it could be valid in all 50 states. But here's the catch.
You need to already have deported everybody, and some people get to stay. So now you have a system where if you try once and it doesn't work, you could always try again. You see, that's what's been created here. Just because somebody is one of the 37,000 that they said they deported, again, which these numbers are being contested, what's to say they aren't going to try again the next time this happens? When Spain started their amnesty program, which was, I believe, about a year ago, they estimated, and this is what they told people, they said, we estimate that 500,000 people will apply for this program and get to stay in the country, but double the amount of people applied. So the estimates were totally wrong, and it was almost like they did a bait and switch on their own population, who now doesn't know what to do. And this has brought concern to all the nations around them. Like, what do you say if you're another country in the EU and you want border security and your country is in favor of that? Well, you still have to abide by this travel-free program. You still have to understand that, hey, you've got this higher authority over you, the EU government, that can tell you what to do and tell you, oh, you better open your borders. So
this is a totally bizarre situation. It doesn't make any sense unless you realize that the people running this place want to have an open border and want to have this happen in some manner. Yes, there's laws against breaking into pretty much every country on earth. Every country on earth has a legal immigration process. But if you're going to have a policy that says if people can come into the country, there's going to be some sort of reward. You're going to get to stay. We're going to evaluate why you're here. It's going to happen on a case-by-case basis. A lot of people are going to say, well, hey, maybe that's going to work out for me. And now in the United States, we have a massive question. And this, if you think about it, is a black swan event for the midterm cycle, because people forgot in America over the last year how important border security was. And now you got people out there saying that they want to defund ICE. They want to shut down all border patrol. They want to get the democratic socialists in here who are going to turn the entire country into what New York is becoming right now, a massive sanctuary country where there's no law, where there's no order. I don't know if that's a very good idea. Now people are going to start thinking about that. What do you think about that? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Tens of thousands.
Okay, that was an important one to get out. I want to finish off with 10 short ones, guys. 10 short. 10 short.
That is spoken of in the books of Jeremiah and Daniel. And if you do the math, it leads us to the year 2024. So listen up. Jeremiah wrote a lot about the sudden destruction of the final world empire, symbolically called Babylon. Jeremiah chapter 25, verses 12 and 13. Then after 70 years are completed, I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, the land of the Chaldeans, for their iniquity, declares the Lord, making the land an everlasting waste. I will bring upon that land all the words that I have uttered against it, everything written in this book, which Jeremiah prophesied against all the nations. Jeremiah wasn't talking about 70 literal years in this verse. He was using each year to represent a jubilee. And this is confirmed in Daniel chapter 9, verse 24. And it states, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy. In Daniel, he talks about how everything Jeremiah spoke of would be completed. A jubilee is 49 years, which is a multiple of 7. The first jubilee period started in 1406 BC, when Israel crossed the Jordan River into the Promised Land, where Israel is today. And if you do the math, 2024 will be the last year of the Jubilee. He also states that the world's greatest empire must fall by fire in a single hour. So if the math is right, it will be sometime this year. I wonder what the world's greatest empire is right now. What is our government doing right now? Because right now it looks like we could go into World War III. And just in case nobody wanted to do the math, I figured I would show y'all. If you times 490 by 7, it equals to 3430, minus 2024, 1406, which is the year of the first Jubilee. Let's talk about a second prophecy in Daniel. This prophecy is in Daniel 12, verses 11 through 12. And from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away and the abomination of desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days. So in these two verses, Daniel has given us a timeline for the abomination of desolation to take place. The taking away of sacrifices started in 598 BC, and Daniel tells us the number of years after the sacrifices have been taken away. We know from other scripture that a day can mean 1 year. In Jeremiah chapter 52, verse 28, according to Jeremiah, the sacrifices were taken away to captivity along with the prophet Daniel. And that was in the 7th year of Nebuchadnezzar. And we know that the 7th year of Nebuchadnezzar was 598 BC. So with that, we can add the 1290 years when the sacrifices were taken away. And that will lead you to the year the Dome of the Rock started construction. Right there. It was built on Israel's most holy site, the Temple Mount, and is the abomination that will become desolate in 1335 years. And we know that the abomination is located on the Temple Mount from Matthew 24, verse 15. And we also know that the abomination of desolation happens in the middle of tribulation. So if you add 1335 years to 692, you will end up in 2028, which is the midpoint of the tribulation that will start in 2024. There's other prophecies that surround this year as well. I can go over those in another video if you want. But y'all tell me, what are the odds of 2 prophecies ending up on these dates? If you do not know Jesus, please start a relationship now. Because Jesus fulfilled the first 4 feasts: Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, and Pentecost. The next is Feast of Trumpets, which is the feast that no man knows the day or hour. And I'm not one to call dates out, but there's some stuff that's going to happen before the end of this year. If you don't know the Lord and you need help, please message me. In Romans chapter 10, verse 9, it says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and that he died on the cross for your sins, you will be saved. Time is almost up. But those who are in Christ have hope. One more thing I'd like to add. If we can come up with these dates, Satan can too. Why do you think there has been so many celebrities building underground bunkers right now? Because they know it's coming too. Revelation chapter 6, verse 15. Then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, both slave and free, hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. They called to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can withstand it? They know it's coming too, y'all. All right, I want to talk to y'all about a prophecy that is spoken of in the books of Jeremiah and Daniel. And if you do the math.
That was a good one. I don't think we played this one. Philadelphia, Lucy.
Revelation chapter 3, verses 7 through 12. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. Let me tell you some things about the Church of Philadelphia first. The city of Philadelphia was 28 miles southeast of Sardis, and earthquakes destroyed the city several times. The city was named after the king of Pergamon, Attalus Philadelphus, and he's the one that had the city built. Philadelphus is similar to the Greek word Philadelphia, and it means brotherly love, which occurs in the Bible 7 times. And this was a pointer of love that the church had for the Lord and for each other. Now let's get back to the verses. It says, he that hath the key of David. So what is this verse talking about? It's talking about Isaiah chapter 22, verses 15 through 24. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to read you the verses, but give you a summary. There was a man named Shebna who was the palace administrator and treasurer in the days of King Hezekiah. This man was corrupt and focused on his own glory. He would use the king's treasury for his own financial benefit, and he was in the process of building a grand burial tomb for himself, so that his name would live on forever in Judah. So the Lord said that he would judge this man. His name would not be known in Judah, and he would be rolled up and hurled like a ball into a large country where he would die, which was Babylon. In his place, the Lord would set up Eliakim, a godly man that would administer the king's rule well. He would receive the key to the house of David. So what does this mean? This speaks to the power of his position that he was given. It means he was going to be the mover and shaker of the king's court, which means Eliakim could have shut and opened any door he chose. There's a prophetic type here. The name Shebna means who is now captive, and the name Eliakim means resurrection of God. So we have this picture of the natural fallen man who is self-absorbed and living for himself, while in reality is captive, and this other man who lives selflessly and is the resurrection of God. That is Jesus Christ. This will happen in the last days when the Antichrist will have the full character of Shebna, seeking his own glory, and will be hurled into the place of death. And he will be replaced by the true ruler, Jesus Christ, he who holds the key of David. And it also says, and they shall hang upon him all the glory of his father's house, the offspring and the issue, all vessels of small quantity, from the vessels of cups, even to all the vessels of flagons. It also states that he would be like a peg driven in a firm place, and his whole family would hang securely. That is an amazing picture, y'all. Jesus is the true peg that doesn't give way, that we hang on. Now let's go over verse 8. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. This has so many meanings, but one is that Jesus can open up a provision for us. So how does he do that? One is spiritual understanding. Jesus can unlock your understanding in his word, but you must have a heart that desires the truth. You must want to learn from him, because he is the central theme of Scripture. He also opens doors to new opportunities, new jobs, ministries. He makes a way for us to get out of bad situations. The Church of Philadelphia is the last church age. It started roughly around the 1700s and will end with the rapture. During the 1700s, there was a great emphasis on evangelism and missions, and more talk about the Lord's return, because he opened doors for spiritual understanding. We also seen a bunch of the greatest preachers and teachers from this age. All right, so verse 9, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Philadelphia had a large synagogue and a large population of Jews, which gave believers trouble. They weren't true Jews in God's sight. Jesus said it himself that they were of their father, the devil. Jesus says that he will make them come and acknowledge that he has loved them. Because at the end of this church age, the Jews will see that Jesus is Lord, and that God's blessing is upon the Gentile believers. Verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. This is one of the greatest promises concerning the tribulation period. This isn't limited to Israel. This is the whole world. And this is a promise to the entire true church, that he will keep them out of the hour of trial. He is saying that we will not enter the future time of trouble. When he used the word from, that is a period of time, which means that we will be kept out of this period of time. This time was not designed for believers. So who is the hour of trial for? It's for those who live on the earth. It is for those who live in the world and are of this world. This includes many that are involved in the corruption of churches, or dead or worldly churches, and have not been born again. True believers are citizens of heaven, and their home is there. Philippians chapter 3, verses 20 and 21 tells us that. And Jesus promised to return and take us there. And in John chapter 14, verses 1 through 3. During the tribulation, the whole world will be put through a test. Will they accept Christ or the Antichrist? Choose this day whom you will serve. And this will be more relevant than ever during this time. All right, so I wanted 7 through 12. And to the angel...
Now they're showing my connection's bad, you guys. How was that one? That was a good one. Let me know if we can't play the video. I got a few more still. Dang it.
That was held at Mar-a-Lago. And let me know what it reminds you of.
And the way you look tonight.
So yes, they had furries at Mar-a-Lago for a gala. I can't wait to see how y'all defend this. Anybody on the truther side of things knows the Rothschilds do the same thing at their parties and have in the past, where they wear masks. And most of us know what happens at these parties. We also seen this in one of the Hunger Games movies. So my question is, why does the left get attacked when we see stuff like this, but the right can do it? Not just the right, the president of the United States. I don't know about y'all, but this just looks like a slap in the face. It just reminds me of that saying, let them eat cake. Listen up. I want to show y'all a video of a gala that was held at Mar-a-Lago. And let me know what it reminds.
We landed on the moon, you're holding the rest of us back. If you still believe you were evolved from a chimp, you're holding the rest of us back. If you still think you live on a spinning ball, you're holding the rest of us back. Which one do you live on, by the way? Those are all NASA photos. If you still believe in gravity, you're holding the rest of us back. If you still believe in red versus blue and right versus left, you're holding the rest of us back. If you think any of them have our best interest at heart, you're holding the rest of us back. If you think you're getting truth from any of these podcasters, especially that one and that one and that one, you're holding the rest of us back. If you still think there are people in Hollywood and the music industry, and yes, even sports that are on your side, you're holding the rest of us back. You see, there are a lot of us out here that see through the illusion now, and we know how much we're being lied to, and we realize it's not a fight of right and left and white and black and whatever other nonsense they throw at you. It's a spiritual fight, a spiritual war. And they have lied to you so much that you don't even know where you live, because if you did, you would know it was a spiritual war, because you would know you're not an evolved chimp spinning on a ball chasing the sun at 66,000 miles per hour. 66,000 miles per hour. And if you knew how much you'd been lied to, you would know that the dinosaurs that supposedly died 66 million years ago was a story told to you so you would believe you were an evolved chimp spinning on a ball in endless space. Again, so you don't know who or where you are, or the fact that you could even comprehend that you are in a spiritual war. They have you so convinced that you think I'm the crazy person, the one actually telling you the truth. You see, you've been lied to by the same people over and over and over again so much since you were born that you believe the lie. And the saying, it's a lot easier to fool someone and lie to someone than to convince them they've been fooled and lied to, especially their whole life. And they use people like this deceiver, who you think you can trust because he went to war. He's a good veteran. He's a deceiver, and he has nothing but deceivers on his show. Just like that guy, and just like that girl, and just like that guy as well. They're all lying to you. And who is they? Well, it's all of them, and they've been lying to you since before any of us were born. That's Alec Baldwin, and that's President Fillmore. That's President Franklin Roosevelt and Ryan Gosling. There's Robin Williams and President Roosevelt. You know who, and Andrew Jackson, Anthony Hopkins, President James Buchanan, and up there, well, you know who the top left guy is, and the guy next to him, that's General Patton. And like I said, it's all of them. It's all your star athletes. If they've been pushed on you and they're in the limelight, well, they've been here a lot longer than you realize. And they all have exact doppelgangers because they're all shapeshifters and live a lot longer than us humans. if they've been pushed on you and you know them from TV, they're part of the club because it's all of them. That's Jim Carrey and George Jones. That's Werner von Braun, who just happened to write a book about how a man named Elon would colonate Mars. They want you to believe you can colonate Mars. Mars is just a light up in the firmament. But they don't want you to know that. They want you to think you can see light from quintillions of miles away. You can't. There's something called the inverse square light law that light dissipates with distance. You can't see it endlessly. But we've all been brainwashed to think we can see planets and stars from literally quintillions of miles away. It's nonsense, my friend. It's all right there. And you're in the center of creation. And they don't want you to know it. So like I said in the beginning, if you still think we landed on the moon and you live on a spinning ball chasing the sun 66,000 miles per hour and that dinosaurs died 66 million years ago, and you think that 6 and that 6 is just a coincidence, then you're holding the rest of us back from reaching true freedom and taking all of our power back. So I say to you, with love and kindness, it's time to wake up. It's time to stop holding the rest of us back and start seeking truth, and not from him or them or the news stations that are all owned by the same 6 corporations. 6, mind you. They're not from red or blue or right or left or any of these deceivers. It's time to start seeking truth in your heart and fast and pray and ask the Heavenly Father, and you will receive it. All you need to do is ask and want to know, and you'll get it. It's how I get all my truth. I fast and I pray and I use discernment and I prove what all they are saying is false. And then I find truth in their falsehoods. It's time to stop believing these snakes. Those snakes that have lying fake priests on. Priests that don't even know that fallen angels aren't demons. You would think if you were a priest, well, you would know that you don't live on a globe, first of all. And second, you would know that demons are very distinctive in the Bible from fallen angels. And fallen angels are here in flesh. And demons are real. They're just the disembodied spirits of the fallen angels, Nephilim children. Snakes, 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 and especially all your presidents. Snakes and snakes. There's a reason they tell us that the Earth is going around the sun at 66,000 miles per hour. Oh, and the distance to the moon is 6 times 60 times 666 miles, and the diameter of the moon is 6 times 6 times 60, and the freaking tilt of the Earth is 23.4 degrees, which is from a 90-degree angle, 66.6. Stop holding us back. It's time to wake up, my friends. Of course, all this for entertainment purposes. I'm sure it's a series of coincidences. Entertainment only. I'm going to say this with all due respect, but if you...
Okay, I thought that was a good one to end the show with, huh, Triangle? All right. Well, we got a little show in tonight. I don't want to overdo myself, but the big show was the first one. So, thanks, mods. Carol, Kay, Michael, Lucy. Hope your son's getting better. And mom being okay. And tomorrow, we'll play it by ear. I'm just going to say it now because we got a big, hopefully we will have a big week coming up. But my schedule, yep, well, so during the week is 3 o'clock. But if anything comes up in the morning during the week and stuff, I would have to come on. But and if I get any big videos, a lot of stuff coming out, so I just not going to overdo myself. But thanks everybody. Us everybody. Remember, breathe it like. Stay safe, stay strong, get the faith. Never give up. And signing off for our first day of August. And whenever the movie will end, August 1st. Oh my goodness. Chico Dude and our other two buddies, Bella and Oriella. And we'll see you guys tomorrow evening sometime, unless something develops. Take it easy.